Welcome, everyone, to the Regina Queen Show podcast. Welcome, everyone, to the Regina Queen Show. We are happy to have you all here with us. We're grateful to be here to empower humanity. Here with us, we have Freedom is a Must. Freedom is a Must is an organization that advocates for prisoners, prisoner reform. He's a youth advocate and for prisoners. He advocates for prisoners who are wrongfully convicted. So thank you so much, Freedom is a Must, for being here with me on the Regina Queen Show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Freedom is a Must has done a lot for the prison system. As we all know, and that there is a lot of corruption that is taking place in the prison systems today and every day. So Freedom is a Must advocates to prevent humanity from going into the prisons and to fight for victims' rights in the prisons. Freedom is a Must had advocated for Robert Brooks. Robert Brooks was a prisoner in the state Marcy prison system. He was brutally beaten by the correctional officers and later murdered. So we're going to show you a few clips of Robert Brooks and the things that Freedom is a Must has done to advocate for Robert Brooks, which was a powerful, powerful event.
Appreciate it.
Took the sacrifice of this young man, this brother, for him to die, to sacrifice, for this to come up to the light, so that everybody in the world can see that this is really happening. This is facts. It's there. Everybody's seen it.
The rally, organized by the United Black Caucus, Freedom is a Must, and live and direct on the air, saw people come in from all over the state and the country, including the family of Robert Brooks.
While the officers was murdering her son, they was getting paid to murder her son, right? She's out here in the cold. She's not getting paid to be out here. She's not getting paid to be out here. So I need the world to understand the gratitude of this situation and understand that we seeking for justice, but we seeking for change for the Department of Correction.
That justice has yet to come.
And if it was 10 of us over here that did time together, and we would have committed this crime on video, it'd have been a manhunt. Sheriffs, Homeland Security, everybody would have been out there to get us. Why has it been 30 days and not one of these officers has been accountable and arrested for this crime?
Fact.
Right. And thank you so much for what you do. Freedom is a Must. Can you share with us what it was like to advocate for Robert Brooks, who was a prisoner in the Marcy State Prison?
Well, the Robert Brooks, rest in peace, Robert Brooks, was a touchy case. It was something that, us prisoners for decades have been complaining to the states, to Albany's, to governors, whether it's through letters or whatever means that we have while we in the prison, to let them know that these things were already happening in the system for decades. And, for this to happen and actually be, put out there through a video, and so the people can see that this really was happening, has been happening, it's a real touchy issue that, we have to go into prison to do our time for something that we already did that was wrong. And we try to go in there to amend for that crime, to be better, to learn skills, to learn vocation, to come back home, to become better people. And we can't, because when we go in there, we're facing things like this: police brutality, not getting fed by the police, and these things that these corruption officers under the Department of Corrections took an oath by law to protect our rights, to protect humans, and, to protect us and to help us to be better. So when we go home, we can be better people to our family and to ourselves. This is why the name Corrections was made, so that they can correct us. But it's, for decades, it's not happened like that. So the Robert Brooks was a touchy situation. When that happened, it hit hard. around the world, man, because not only we felt the pain of him having to go through this, us having to see it, but that now that the world knows that it's fact, it's in the light, it's out there.
Yes. So, what did they, when they murdered him, how did it occur?
He came from Mohawk, and I guess he was being transferred over across the street because those jails are right next to each other. And uh, what's being said throughout proof is that he was already beaten all the way from Mohawk all the way to Marcy, and that Marcy just continued the beatings and finally killed Robert Brooks. But he was murdered in no type of ways. He was kicked in the neck. Something was shoved down his mouth, down his throat. Uh, they were kicking his testicles. They did so much to this young man, that it's something that's insane that somebody can actually, have the time to sit there to do all this to this brother, man. This brother suffered through in all parts. They did him dirty when when they did this to him. So, you know, from the kicking of the testicles, punch in the head, the choked around the neck, it was a lot of things that they did to him.
Brutally beaten.
Yeah, they did him bad, For another human or other human beings to do this to a human, it's crazy. Like, it's foul.
True. So, freedom is a must. What brought you to advocate for prisoners?
So I went into prison. In the process of going into prison, of course, everybody there, when you ask them about their case, they tell you that they're innocent. Everybody's innocent there. And down in my prison time, my thing, I was trying to beat my case. So I ended up in the law library. I ended up getting a job in the law library. And in the process of being in the law library, I seen a lot of brothers that were actually there every day, dedicated, fighting their cases. And their cases were wrongful convictions. They were wrongfully accused, wrongfully arrested, and then wrongfully convicted where they had to do a bit for a crime that they never committed. And down the line of listening to a lot of individuals saying they were wrongfully convicted, I had lawyers on the outside that I worked with before and after being in the prison that would also, was also helping me out. That I decided to explain to these lawyers that, listen, there's a lot of brothers in here complaining about being wrongfully convicted. Maybe we should look into those cases, and maybe we should start doing these cases, because if they're wrongfully convicted, they don't belong in here. They in prison for something that they didn't actually do. And I started with a brother named Robert Acosta. Robert Acosta was a doctor from Santo Domingo who came to New York for like a week or 2 weeks to just explore, see his daughters. And in the process of him coming over here to see if maybe in the future he could move his doctrine over here and what he was doing over there in the politics over here, he was caught and he was wrongfully accused about guns, attempt murders, robberies, a whole bunch of things that he actually didn't know. And the brother didn't even actually speak English at the time, and he was wrongfully arrested, wrongfully accused, and he became wrongfully convicted, and they gave him 30 something years in prison, and he only got to do 27 years, at the time that I met him. And he only did the 27 years. I connected him to the lawyers. They saw that his case had merits. Like, I saw these people that he used to write, and they used to write him back and said, we investigated your case, you didn't have any merits. And it was crazy because my attorneys and investigators found merit in this case that this brother had not did this crime. He didn't commit this crime. So he was the first exoneree that was exonerated. I got him home, and they had to clear his name up for the case. He beat the case, and I continue to do it. To this day, I have a fifth exoneree. That I helped out, got them out. They got exonerated. They live in their lives, and I continue to do it. Even though I came out from the prison, I still communicate through the system, through either through mail, through emails, or through phone calls, and I stay in communication with these brothers in prison, because there's more brothers than these brothers that are wrongfully convicted. Every day we see the news of a brother coming out that was wrongfully convicted and accused, and there's many of them in there that, I don't feel that is right, that we should turn our backs on them. So I continue to help them, even though to this day I had 5 that I got out that were wrongfully convicted and exonerated.
Whoa. Whoa. That's really powerful. Like you really are putting in, the footwork to get justice for the wrongfully convicted.
I fight for
And
them. It's like a voice, for the voiceless. When these guys send me their minutes and transcripts, which was like a 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 pages of the trial, I take these and I copy them, and I don't just make one stack of them. I make about 15 stacks of those copies. And some people say that it's pressure. I don't call it pressure. It's just me going out there, trying to find these brothers' attorneys to represent them, because there's no more pro bono no more. People used to take, lawyers take pro bonos to help people out, but because the process and the money it takes to work on these cases, they don't want to do it. So I will go into the city and I will go from office to office to see lawyers. Listen, here go this transcripts. This brother's wrongfully convicted. I need you to look into this. It's a good case. It's a case that, after you get him out, he's going to win a state federal lawsuit. You're going to get a 30 and the third percent. You're going to make your money, get on the news. And it's a good case for you. If you're not going to take this case, don't waste my time. Give me my minutes back, and I continue down the building to look for other attorneys. And that's one thing that I do. I go scouting for attorneys, even though I got attorneys online that take my cases, but sometimes they tied up with their cases or cases that I've sent. So I got to go out there and find other lawyers, open the doors for them, for other lawyers, and that's what I do. I top up a load of paperwork, transcripts, papers.
that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work, and it's very powerful and
A lot of
impactful.
work, a lot of work.
Yeah. So I would like to ask you, for prisoners, do you advocate for prisoners that has committed a crime and been convicted? Do you advocate to try and get them, released, like early timeout, or what is your belief? Do you believe they should serve the time that they was committed for the crime they committed?
So I help a lot of prisoners that are not wrongfully convicted, and they did do the crime, and they in there paying the time so they can be better to come out. I help them with parole letters to come out if they don't have a home to go to. That's one of the qualifications that's necessary with parole. I make sure that I find them housing, whether it's in one of my units or anything, and help them out with a job and housing, so they have these letters when they face parole to come home. But I do not help child molesters. I do not help women rapists. I don't do those type of cases because I'm against that. It's something I'm against. But if it's a case that I know and I'm being told by peoples that, yeah, it is that type of case, but they didn't do it, and I actually see that there is proof that they didn't do it, I fight for them. If it's a person that copped it out and they copped out to those charges and they did what they did on those crimes, I do not do that. My attorneys don't do that. Those are cases that even my attorneys do not take. Nobody in the world, it doesn't matter how much money you offering. My attorneys do not take that. I don't take them type of cases. We don't tolerate that. So I just want to get that clear so everybody know that we don't tolerate that. But we do help other prisoners, robbery cases, gun cases, and anything besides that. We do help them with letters, food packages. We put money in the account and secure us so they are able to call us even on days that it's not about their case. They want to vent. They stressed out. Today's Thanksgiving. Let's say, and they have nobody to call and they want to call somebody. They able to call me and my guys, and they're able to vent. We're able to tell them Happy Thanksgiving and make them feel a lot better, and take them from out of that prison into society, even if it's to the mind, that we taking them out. But, that's what we do.
Have you ever dealt with juveniles?
We have not, but in jail wise, but we do have a program in Connecticut which deal with troubled youth. They are sent by the chief judge of family court, who we got a good relationship with, and we set up a system where if a juvenile was going into jail for a crime that he committed versus ruining his life, we have a program that we have the judge work out a process where they can send him to our program, and we teach him some type of vocational anger management and those type of courses. And if he complete these courses, he is not sent to prison.
Right. Okay. So, well, freedom is a must. I would like to say, like, thank you so much, for what you do for humanity. And I wholeheartedly believe that, every human being should be treated fair, under the justice system. And as myself, I've been dealing with the justice system once my son was murdered. And I feel that my family didn't get justice due to the fact that the murderer, he was he got 5 years with time served, some parole, and I feel that is injustice. And I know that people that goes into the prison should be treated fairly by the correctional officers, and fair treatment is fair treatment.
Yes.
And so that really your organization had it captivated me to where us as parents that are losing our children to just losing our children, someone murder our child, we get no justice. And then once the perpetrator is arrested and charged and convicted, they get the slap on the wrist. So we look at why should freedom should be a must for them type of people that just go in and right out and everything. So but I can understand now. I have more transparency of by you being here to share your story of what you do behind freedom is a must. And it's for the wrongfully convicted, police brutality, corruption. And that's just fairness is fairness. So I do thank you like so much for what you have done. And during your time, because we really want to, before I go there, we really want to empower the youth to prevent the youth from going into prisons, the gang banging, the drug dealings, the, running around with guns, just getting involved with the wrong crowd. We want to prevent our youth from going into the prisons.
Yes.
Have you dealt with families that have been impacted by gun violence, gang violence for, the youth? What have you seen?
I get a lot of messages from a lot of parents who are having trouble with their youths, and they ask me for questions of, what can they do to make it better, uh, you know, uh, versus getting them into prison or having to put them into prison and so forth. And I give the best advice that I can, knowing my experience in prison. I mean, I really don't want to tell them, well, listen, send them away so he can learn a lesson, because I wouldn't want to wish prison to my worst enemy. I mean, they got this saying that they say, if you do the crime, you got to do the time, for whatever it may be. But, I give them the best advice that I can of how they can avoid their kids, from going into prison, from changing their ways, being better. And what it is that, like back in the days, we used to have this YMCA and all this stuff where kids used to go after school to these programs, which we don't have no more. They have them, but they really fund it for the good kids. These programs shouldn't be for the good kids that are already good kids in school, and they bringing A's in their report cards. They should be open again like they used to be for after school for kids that really need it, such as basketball. They have basketball, they have swimming pools, they have these little programs that keep them out of trouble and away from the streets, which they don't do no more. So being that they limited them programs and they closed them down, the kids have nothing to do. The industry is doing whatever they think that they can do. they bump into another juvenile that's either stealing, robbing, or doing what he's doing. He wants to become part of it. You know, they want these new sneakers that cost $300 to $400 because that's the style, and the only way and means necessary to get it is stealing, is robbing. You know, a robbery that can go bad, that God forbid, they can kill somebody and never make it home when they get caught. You know, so a lot of families do contact me. I give them the best advice. You know, a lot of them try to offer me money. It's not about the money. It's about my pain. You know, what I went through and what I want to avoid them from going through, because, you know, it hurt me to see kids to face what I faced with a lot of the brothers that came in my generation, what we face in the Department of Corruption. And I call it corruption because it's a system that's a broken system that people think that, nah, correction officer will never do that. No, the president of the United States will never do that. People, wake up America. You're seeing right now, it's happening. Look at the Robert Brooks. Look at the stuff that the government is doing right now, you know, with the SNAP, with all this stuff here that they, you know, they pumping us all around and doing what they want to do because they can do that. You know, so, you know, my fight is that, you know, don't do this because you can do that and you have the power to do that. No, use that power and that you can to do what's right, to follow the law, follow policies, follow directives, and treat us how we should be treated. So, you know, I give them only the advice of my experience, which is true fact experience. I don't got to come here with a notebook and look at my notes to tell you about anything, because everything is in my heart. Everything is in my mind of what I went through. It's true fact, real shit, you know?
Yeah. You've been through it.
Been through it.
Yeah.
You know, I've been there.
What strengths, actually, what change have you seen in your community since you've been advocating for the prison reforms for prisoners?
With a lot of the kids in my program, we have 40 kids in the program, and to tell you the truth, these kids line up outside. I gotta send you videos. These kids line up outside of the program. Program opens at 8 in the morning. These kids are actually on the weekend, 7:30. These kids are already online to participate in this program, because see, it's a program that they like, that they want. You know, when you put these kids to watch a Terminator to Violence movie, and you sit them there, they either fall asleep, they don't want to see that. You know, they see the same thing. They want actual hands on these programs, on these vacations. You know, you got to give them things that they like to do. And sure enough, I mean, we got these 40 kids. I mean, half of them now is gone because they completed their 6 months through the courts, and thank God they don't have to do time. Thank God, a few of the youth now, one got into, he wants to get into boxing. I just seen him now. He sent me a few videos about him boxing. Another one is continuing a career of art. He does art. He can draw you your face, whatever you give him, he can draw. You know, so they actually looking now and focusing from what they were looking from before, getting into trouble, doing the wrong thing, to now actually looking of a trade, of something that they got installed in them that they can do, that God has blessed them with. So we every day, you know, we helping even the kids that's not in the program, that we try to get into the program, or even kids we see in the streets that are, you know, I look and I see that they're doing the wrong thing. I give them a card. You know, I tell them, listen, look at my logo. Freedom is a must. I've been there, done that. It's not the place. You know, if you're thinking of doing this, you're thinking of doing that, choose the steps right. And, you know, I got kids that call me all the time for the streets to ask
Right.
me, listen, you know, I'm stressed out, and, you know, moms can't pay a bill, and I want to go out there to do whatever I got to do to help moms, because mom is a single parent. And this is what I'm thinking, Freedom. That's what they call me, Freedom. And I told them, listen, we're not going to go that route. What is it that they need? Give me the bill, and, you know, we get together. I go over there, and you go in there and you give her for that bill. You know, whether she know where the bill is coming from, the money or not, but it's not stolen money. You know, it's money that was, you got it the right way, and that's
Yeah.
what I'm going to teach them, and that's what has been working.
That's powerful. That's the power of advocacy. You know, you're changing lives, saving lives. And sometimes, we can put our all into, different things and into humanity. We can provide resources, we can reach out and help, but it is the individual who need to accept the help and resources. And as you know, most of these our youth are coming from broken homes. I would say broken homes, and I would say wealthy homes. It
Yes.
doesn't, the streets doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care if you're rich or if you're poor.
Does
You
not.
know, people change the narrative to where, okay, it's coming from the minority, it's coming from the Black community. This is where all the gangs and the drugs and all that stuff is
Yes.
coming from. Yeah,
And it's crazy that you say that, Miss Regina, because see, I had to turn the tables where I'm at. There's a lot of white people over here, and I had to turn the tables because every federal funded program that they get money from these organizations from federal funds, and you're supposed to use them for what you're supposed to use them for. But everybody they're using it for is kids that are good kids, kids that are going to school, kids that got A's in their report cards. What about going to the kids that really need it and using those funds for these kids? So, they kind of against me right now because, I did make a complaint on that because it's true. You're getting federal funds and grants is not for the good kids. They don't need it. What are you, where's these funds going to? And who are you funding? Because it's not the kids that need it, you know?
right, right. So, when you say it's not the kids that need the funds, where do you feel the funds should go to? Like,
It's got to go to the kids that, like you said, families that are having problems with their kids at home. Kids that are skipping school, kids that don't want to go to school and they still young, kids that want to go out there and sell drugs because they want to make this fast money. They want to go do all the wrong things. This is where the money should go to establish different type of programs that the kids like. Bring them something that they like to do. If they like to do graffiti on the walls, okay, well, you're not going to do graffiti on the walls illegally no more. We got a program where now businesses want us to bring you legit to do their wall, to do a graffiti name on the wall, name of the business, to do a face on the wall. This is what we want our money to go to. This is what we
right,
want the federal grant money to go to, not to the good kids. The good kids are already good kids and they're going to remain good kids.
right. To reshape their lives, to help reshape their lives, transform their lives back to better, to prevent them from going into the prisons and getting
Yeah.
caught up in the system, because the justice system is really corrupted, like
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
corrupted. Like, as you advocate for prisoners who are wrongfully convicted. So they get the wrongfully convicted, put them in a prison, try to give them slap years or life on them, and then take the the perpetrator who actually really committed a crime
Feel
and
free.
murdered someone a senseless murder. I don't care if whether it's over a candy bar, gang
Anything.
violence, or whatever, but when it's senseless and it doesn't make sense, and you just took upon yourself just to take somebody's life senselessly and get no time served, nothing, get no time at all. So the
Everybody
system,
got their day. Everybody got their day.
yeah, everybody got that day, but the system is really, really corrupted. And I
Yes.
love what you're doing, because if you're wrongfully convicted, you deserve to be set free. You
Well,
deserve
could you
justice.
imagine? Could you imagine, Regina, that somebody's in jail and is really wrongfully convicted? Could you just imagine or put yourself in this place where I'm in prison, I didn't do the crime, nobody believes me, I got nobody to fight with me, and then in the process of being in there, you have to fight to protect your sneakers, protect your property. You got to be abused by the police. You got to get beat up by the police. You got to go through all this when you didn't even belong there from the start. You didn't commit the crime.
Right.
So you come out of there mentally messed up, like, not only thinking of what type of system do we have that didn't do an improper investigation, that, look, they let me here, so they obviously didn't do a proper investigation. I'm in jail when I got to go through all this stuff in here. It's crazy.
Right. Right. Thank you so much. Freedom is a must. And yeah, I really do appreciate what you do. And here's another clip, you guys, with Freedom is a must of some of the things that he does.
Shut it down! Shut it down!
If we don't get it,
Shut it down!
we don't get it.
Shut it down!
We don't get it.
Shut it down!
We don't get it.
Shut it down! Justice! What do you want?
What do we want? What do we want? What's his name? What's his name? What they did to him? What they did to him? What they did to him?
Robert Brooks! Robert Brooks! Robert Brooks! We don't get it! Shut it down! Shut it down! Shut it down! Shut it down!
This is deep, man. That unity alone, if we can do that there and we got a few thousand people there, can you imagine if we did what Farrakhan or those other Martin Luther King, our forefather that did these million-man marches into the White House, into here. If we can do that,
Yes. And this right here, the Robert Brooks case, was similar to George Floyd. People were coming from state all over, to advocate and shout to fight for justice for Robert Brooks as the world.
You came from all the way from home to come down that way.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Yes.
And for a person to come and do that from another state somewhere and don't even know who Robert Brooks was, but you're there at heart because you're in pain of what just happened, you in support. That's deep. It's just deep.
Yes. And because when you sit here and we watch the police just brutally murder someone for no reason, just brutally murder someone for no reason. And then here on my platform, I just want to give a shout out to Katie Wright. She's the mom of Dante Wright. Her son was shot and killed by the police as well. And so she's here. She advocates for others too as well. So I want to give her a shout out. And just thank you so much for what you do. And so before we go, I would like to talk about the victims that you help provide. And this is very important because when we out here advocating and we have this organization, it's very important to put your all into humanity to help victims survive through the trauma and tragedies. And most victims, it impacts them in a horrible way. They lose wages financially. So you go out and you help victims with tombstones. Can you share some of that with us? Because that's very important. And I'm looking at, when I lost my son, I'm like, and I'm shopping around. And also I lost my daughter as well.
Wow.
And yeah, my son and my daughter. I lost my daughter in 2018 and my son in 2020. But I lost my son to gun violence, and it was unexpected. And I lost my daughter to,
Wow.
Yeah, not any type of violence. But we shopping for these caskets are very, very expensive, and you got to just come up with all this money and everything. And so we need more organizations that would reach out to victims that help them with
Yes.
these stones and caskets. Can you share what you do? Because that is so very important, and I really honor that.
So this is something that I came up with only because, like you said, financially people don't have it. um, and who wants to be going into the cemetery and the grass is all over where it was buried? People walk through it, walk past it, don't even know that somebody's actually buried there. And they call them the no names. I feel that, you know, I don't want to be, when it's my time, be buried somewhere and be a no name. I think that that's really sad. And the reason why a lot of these tombstones are no names and is because families don't have it.
Mm,
Times is hard. They family that work from paycheck to paycheck. They don't, have bank accounts. They don't save money. So when these things do happen, which they happen unexpectedly, they're able to pay for these things. And I just started, I started a pilot program just to see how this goes. And we started with, helping a few families. We picked a few families out that we see and we know that they for real, they really don't have it. Only because when you come up with these programs, you get a million people all of a sudden now that really do have it to pay for it or have the access or family that can do it. Now all of a sudden they can't do it and they're looking for what is called a freebie. So when they do that, they eliminate, from us helping the real people that really need the help. And they out there because you can tell through the social media that, they not asking, but you can tell by their cries and certain things that they show you to show you that they don't have it. They're not out there begging for it, but they don't have it and that they wish they did. And they, gotta bless them with something. And I thought that this would be something good to start to help out the families. I'm working now with a company that actually make the caskets,
mm,
and they actually make them like they put them in the burners and they bring them out to those big cement things and they mold them. And I'm working something out where maybe they can give us that for a few $100. And what's the cost for? The cost is for this, and they're actually looking into the memo I sent them concerning why we want it for, who do we want to help, and can they work in pricing because these things cost between $5,000 to $7,000. And it's
yes.
not just that; it's also the tombstone, it's also the casket. All this stuff costs money. On top of the place where you're going to bury him at, that costs us money as well. So some families bypass all that and even bypass of seeing their relatives in a funeral home for a few days because that even costs money. So what they do is they view them for one day and they actually uh they they do the ashes. They cremate them only because they don't have no other option and no help. So we want to avoid people from doing that. Not really to cremate somebody when you can find the means to have somebody to
Mm.
help you to either get you the casket, get you the tombstone, and get you the place where to bury them so they don't become no name.
Wow. That's really powerful. That is really powerful. And this
We
is what,
started already. We started. We put a couple of videos out of starting this program, helping people out with tombstones and all that. Me actually going in there, paying the 4 to 5 thousand for it. You know, and it's money that is blessed to me by God and other transactions that I do. And I always take a 10% for God. I take a 10% for my programs, and I got other friends that are part of the programs that came out of prison, did 20 to 25 years. They want to give back. And the only way of giving back is helping with programs like I have. And
mm,
they've been helping. So, we've been teaming to do a lot of things.
yes. And Freedom is Must, can you share what state you are from?
I'm in Connecticut. 3 days out the week, I'm in New York.
Hmm.
And but I'm basically, I moved from New York into Connecticut.
Okay. So you advocate for both states.
I mean, I advocate for the whole world. If somebody needs advocation, somebody to advocate California, LA, I'll find the means of
National.
getting people that way. Because I network all around the world. I find some people that can actually help them in that state.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That's very, very powerful. And this is what I say, the power of advocacy can save lives and help prevent, our youth from going into prisons because, some of the youth, they commit these crimes and then they take them straight to juvenile and charge them as an adult. And then they
Yes.
step into the big prisons. So what are you doing? And it shows if you are a youth and you come across this podcast right now, please be very mindful. Your choices that you choose shapes your
Yeah.
world. You don't
Yes.
want to go into these prisons and be brutalized by these corruption officers. And for example, we just showed you all what happened to Robert Brooks. He was beaten and murdered by the correctional officers.
Yeah.
And people are there in the prisons. They already committed their crimes. So they're there for a reform to, they're already being chastised. So you come in, that's like an overkill. So that's
Yes.
very unfair. And I see
You're already coming in to pay your time. You got to face other things now.
exactly. So I see the importance of and the reason why you advocate because you lived it. You was
Yes.
there and you seen the brutality and how people are being treated unfairly and to come out of prison and to just advocate for so many victims and help people get justice and everything. You are doing such a great job. That is so super powerful.
Appreciate it.
I mean, it's really powerful, and I really do thank you so much for that. And because there's things that I didn't know, not until I lost my son, to gun violence, and then I'm going into these, courts and everything, and just seeing how the justice system work. And people really need advocates to
Yes.
advocate for them and fight for them, because sometimes the victims out there are lost and alone. Some give up hope, some commit suicide, because they feel so alone. But the power of your organization, I really do honor what you do.
Just trying to do God's work, and trying to get back, for those things that I did in my past. And we just trying to get back. Like I said, it's a team of us, and we trying to get back the best that we could until it's our time to go. But at least we left in terms that we helped and did the best that we could.
Exactly. Thank you so much for that. And so before we go, I would like to um, do some little bit, networking, just in case if anybody need your services, where could they find your link to help get, resources or anything?
Yeah. So I'm on social media. I'm on TikTok, live and direct on the air. I'm also on Instagram, live and direct on the air. I got a channel on the YouTube, live and direct on the air. But my email is live and direct on the air at gmail.com. They can reach me at any, inbox me through any of the social media or through the email. I answer every message that I get. Your messages don't go unheard. I answer every, message that I get through there. So again, it's live and direct on the air at gmail.com is the email. TikTok, which I'm mostly on. For some reason I love the TikTok. Is live and direct on the air, but I'm also on YouTube and Instagram at live and direct on the air as well.
Yes. Can you give us, if you had a message for the youth, what would it be?
Well, I got a lot of message for the youth. Freedom is a must. Stay positive. Do everything opposite from positive. If it's something that it can cause you your life, you can go to jail, or it can cause you problems. Avoid those lines of work, man. There's a lot of things and a lot of money to be made doing it the right way. You can accomplish more in goals and your dreams doing it the right way versus doing it the wrong way. Like I always said, my mother used to always say that if you was out there slinging and you bought this house, that when it's time to come get it, they're gonna take it away from you because it wasn't something you did by God's word. You didn't earn that. You didn't work hard for that. But when you do positive things and you buy this house, you buy this business, and you do it through money that came in through the right way, is yours forever. You can never lose that.
That's powerful. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. And yeah, that was a powerful message. So if you hear this, you little youngins out there, receive it.
And
Receive
that's
it.
one of my guys. That's his podcast. Listen Up Youngins is called.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Listen Up Youngins is a podcast that he does, and he talks to the kids. He tells them straight up what it is, and if they do this, this is what's gonna happen. Amongst other, advocates like Luca Dupree up in Utica doing big things for the youth. A lot of us out here is trying to just better the kids, man, because that's the future, and we need to focus on them. Because an adult already knows what's really right and what's wrong. You already know this.
Yeah. Them streets don't love nobody.
Yes.
Yes. And Denise McSpadden, she said, great job. She said, thank you. Thank you for what you do.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for being on and listening, and taking the time, because a lot of people, don't got the time to listen to a good word. They want to listen to the stuff that I went down the block, I pulled out the gun, hit him over the head, this type of stuff. These people get all these views, all these coins, all this love, all these hearts, all these messages. But when it comes to something positive, don't nobody really want to spend the time to be here and listen to this,
Exactly. And so freedom is a must. We got a question right here from Vernon Davis. He said, what do you think about the Camilo Anthony case? Camilo Anthony case?
Where's the case from?
Yeah, so I don't know if he's still here. If you're still here, please let us know what the case is from, so Freedom is a Must can answer your question.
Camilo. I don't know. Camilo.
And yeah, I don't know. Can you see it right there? It's on the screen.
I see it, but I see it real small, only because it's on the phone.
Yeah.
I'm 53, so I'm kind of blind myself.
Yeah. Camilo, the Camillo Anthony case. I don't
Camilo Anthony. No, I have not.
Yeah.
If it's something that pertain to what I do and I can help, inbox me, please.
Right. Okay. And he said, brother, I would like to get in contact with you. I am in California and I have been out of prison 25 years. And I want to know, is there any way that I can get my amendment rights to legally carry a weapon?
Of course. That's another thing. A lot of people, there's case law now coming out whereas, yes, you were able to get your rights back restored, and you were able to carry and stuff like that. Yeah, inbox me. I got the right person in my team that can lead you to the paperwork you need done, or anything that you need done with that. I got the right guy for you for that. Inbox me either on TikTok, live and direct on the air, or on my email, live and direct on the air at gmail.com.
Thank you so much for that.
He's helping people with pardons and stuff like that, and people to restore their rights back. So I got, I got the brother Anthony. His name is Anthony too, doing this stuff for the brothers.
Thank you so much for that. And then thank you so much, Dean. And Deneen McSpadden, she said, we really need more people like you. And
Amen.
Yes, amen. Yes, we do. Thank you so much. Freedom is a Must. You have been a very, you've been an inspiration for many, for victims. And I really do appreciate that.
Thank you.
Because we do need more people like you out here advocating, like hands-on, to help victims from the heart,
Yes.
not because, you know, we get some people, they just want to do things, you know, just to be out there, you know, like to
Like I told you,
like this.
we don't do no federal grants, federal programs. You know, me and my team, we you know we either when we buy a property or we do certain things, we take out money for these programs. We do this on our own only because, you know, when you deal with the feds with these grants, there's a lot to it. You got to go by certain rules, regulations that we don't really want to go to or get into. So, you know, everything that we do come out of pocket. We do things out of, you know, out of us. We work hard for what we do, and we make sure that we take a percentage out to help people that's needed. So, I just want people to know that, you know, everything we do, this alone is something that we do it from the heart. We're not out there expecting nothing. We don't got no cash app, things out there asking for no cash app donations. That's why you ain't gonna see that in none of my pages, because we don't ask for that. You know, we work hard, and, you know, we do certain things that out of these things that we make a double from or whatever, we take a percentage out for our programs.
Oh, that's powerful. Thank you so much. Because people have lost a lot already. You know, victims, they lost a lot. And just to have organizations that is not trying to, you know, profit off of a victim, very important. Because I don't like when, you know, victims being, you know, taken advantage of. And victims
They're
do
doing
get
it. They're doing it every day. I see it. They doing it. People doing it.
people doing it. Thank you so much. And then I believe I have some of your, just to give you guys a little bit.
Brand freedom is a must.
That's the
You know,
brand.
that's all you're gonna see me wearing is my brand. Freedom is a must. You know, we deserve to be free to do what we want to do when we want to do it, how we want to do it, but the right way. If it's not the right way, we don't want to do it. That's what I mean by my freedom.
Yeah. Thank you. So we're good. We're getting ready to head out now. We're going to close this out, everybody. And we just want to thank you to our viewers. Thank you for listening to
Thank you.
our podcast today, which was very, very inspiring, empowering, and most of all, important to prevent our youth from going into the prisons, and letting you all know the power of advocacy can change and save lives. So please, you know, even for you who have not been impacted by violence, don't wait until it hit home. Get out there, help humanity now. Let's change our world. Let's shape our world for a better place for our community and our youth that's growing up, our kids, our children, our grandchildren. You know, we want our foundation to know that we are here to support and to protect your foundation. Thank you so much, Freedom, as much for being here on Regina Queen.
Anytime.
Yes. And I will be seeing you soon. And you have a beautiful, beautiful, blessed day.
You as well. Before you go, real quick, anybody in Connecticut, I'm giving toys out for Christmas this year again. Inbox me, let me know about the kids. It's you know, from toddler all the way to like 12 years old. You know, we're gonna be giving out toys like we do every year. Inbox me, so I know you out here, and I know what, you know, that you want toys. That way I can, you know, another helping hand for people that don't got it, you know, for these Christmas spirits, you know. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you, Miss Regina.
Thank you so much, Freedom, as much. And real quick before we go, are you going to have a flyer for the giveaway?
Yes, I'm gonna put it up. Yes.
Okay, so I can share it, and because I do have some groups here, and I can share it in my.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you so much, Freedom, as much.
Thank you.
Thank you.